It has been a long time coming. As soon as Bannerlord released, everybody in the multiplayer scene was ready to bring back their old clans, troops and regiments from Mount and Blade Warband to come back together for these big community events. However, Bannerlords seemed to discard the multiplayer, and whilst I think a lot of new people don't quite understand how big it was in Warband and the events that went around it, some of the OG Mount and Blade guys, we've missed it. Almost a year on from its release, we've got the first bit of actual significant and exciting multiplayer news, and it's coming very soon to Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord. On the Mount and Blade Taleworlds forums the other day, one of the developers posted a whole thread of all the new features and functions that will be coming to the multiplayer of Bannerlord. Of course, there'll be certain things like bugs and fixes being added in and a few new bits of content. However, one of the biggest things that I think is going to make a massive change to the popularity of it is voice chat. You see, voice over IP is something that has been quite popular in games, and mostly, if we look at the genre, it has been pioneered by holdfast nations at war, and I think that's what Taleworlds are really pulling from, to know that this could be a good option to add into the game. You see, you always get those people that want to lead the charge, that want to roleplay through the multiplayer servers, and in Warband that was only ever done through private events that were put on, and it was incredibly popular with thousands of people playing in these private events every single night, but it was never really translated well into the public servers. People in public servers would just charge each other and do all sorts, and there would never be any sort of roleplay or different direction to take it, and I think voice over IP is going to add that immensely. It could be an absolute disaster. Knowing what the Mount and Blade community is like, this could be one of the worst decisions Taleworlds could have made, and it could end up backfiring massively. However, I think it's exciting. Whilst I'm a little bit worried about how it's actually going to turn out in the end, with hundreds of people being able to say whatever they want to whoever they want, I think it's still exciting. But the voice chat is in the final testing stages and will be going live very soon. Furthermore, coming very, very soon is a duel mode, something that we had in Warband where players could go up to each other, they could offer each other duels, and then only those two players could cause any damage to each other, meaning that you could test your skills and your honor in a 1v1 to the death. There's mentions of a new progression system coming to the multiplayer, so you're going to be able to earn XP during your games and level up throughout it. I'm assuming it's just going to be some sort of generic number leveling system, and there's not really going to be any perks and stuff to that, but there will be badges most likely that comes in conjunction to these leveling up systems, and that will also be coming in very soon. A new siege map is going to be entering the game in the very near future, and of course some new skirmish maps as well. However, I don't think skirmish is one of the most popular game modes at the moment, but maybe voice over IP could change this, having a team chat where you can actually talk and work together with your team in order to complete these more competitive style gameplay matches. Furthermore, we have an observer mode, a more spectator camera, where you can go into the battles and you can fly over and view every small individual fight that's going on, or pan out to the bigger picture. This might not be useful for most people, but for someone like me and for other people that love recording Mount and Blade battles, this could be incredible for a commentator's perspective, and this is why I think we're moving closer to those private servers so we can put back on those multiplayer events. But before I carry on with why I think that's coming very soon, there's a lot of people watching this that don't care about multiplayer because they've never been a part of these multiplayer events. They've never really experienced it the same way that really made Mount and Blade popular. If anyone doesn't know, the reason Mount and Blade is such a big game it is today is a lot down to the fact of these multiplayer events. They were kind of popular in Warband with shield battles. People would join up with clans, get on TeamSpeak. They'd have whole ranking systems. They'd also do trainings in their servers where they would learn how to fight with each other and have commanders and second in commands, and then of course rank and file. Then you go into battle against other clans with 200 to 250 troops on the battlefield in lines, making shield walls, firing arrows and working with the other clans on your team. This then translated well, and Taleworlds saw this and saw it was very popular and made a standalone DLC for the Napoleonic Wars. This was because there was a Mount and Musket mod which brought Napoleonic Wars into the native Warband, and people were doing line battles, lining up, firing in volley volley, sieging castles, using cannons and rocket artillery. It was a sight to see. And whilst the single player of Warband was great, and that's what held the base game down, the reason that everybody knows about this game now is because of people recording these line battles and community events and putting them on YouTube. People like Gaming Till Dawn Studios, Malekith, Chadtopia. They are the reason that Mount and Blade as a franchise is at the size it is now. So multiplayer is such a big part of it. But I think a lot of people that are new into Bannerlord never really experience that, and they don't quite understand how big it really is and how many people are waiting for these private servers to come back. So why do I think that this forum post hints to them coming very soon? Well, first off, of course, we get the observer mode. This was a massive part, having YouTubers like Chadtopia doing these spectator commentaries of these line battles. Before I'd even started YouTube, I was playing in these line battles and seeing Chadtopia in the spectator mode and seeing his video go up after a few days and seeing my regiment there that I was leading, and it was so surreal. But there's something coming later down the line. It won't be coming out very soon, but they said that they are currently working on it and it's in progress and will arrive further down the road. And this is battle mode. If anyone doesn't know what battle mode is, it's a single life per round game mode. You spawn in and that's it. If you die, you spectate until the end of the round. And that's the game mode that all these community events were played in. That's how it got so popular. You'd have your regiments, and when you got shot, that'd be it to the end of the round, and then you spawn back in at the start of the next one. And this is a massive bit of news for the multiplayer community, because it means that they're bringing it back. They're bringing back this game mode that was made so popular by these events, and what's even better, they said they wouldn't. In the developer blogs way before Bannerlord was actually released, Taleworlds came out and said that they weren't going to be putting in a battle mode for Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord. They said, we don't want to put it in this one, but people can mod it in if they want. And there was a lot of sadness when that news came out, because that was the lifeline of these big community events. But now they've gone back on that. Now we're getting that battle mode. So maybe they've seen the outcry and everyone that wants to play these big events, and now they're finally bringing it out. It could be that it was always the plan to bring in this battle mode, just not at initial release of early access. That's a very good point to make, and that is quite likely to have happened. I think this is what Bannerlords multiplayer really needed. It was at a point where people weren't really playing it, and there's a reason why people will be commenting on this saying, I don't care about Bannerlords multiplayer, and that's because they kind of ditched the multiplayer. They didn't put the love into the multiplayer that I think a lot of the community really needed. But they're doing it now. And that's what early access was about. Early access was that trial period of a year or so to start adding certain bits in. And it means that hopefully by a full release, we're going to have this full multiplayer experience, much like we did in Warband. And to Taleworlds, I thank you so much for hearing us. I'm sure that it was always the plan to focus on single player and then multiplayer afterwards, but it's happening now, so it doesn't matter. I'm really glad that they're focusing on putting these implementations in that will support a community, support a big and dedicated community that Warband always had, but Bannerlord hasn't had in the same way. There's a few extra things that they have mentioned, like, of course, fixes and improvements to the current maps, of course, adding in some new improvements to the hitboxes and, of course, the animations, but there will also be some stuff with the captain mode, with some perks being added in and troop stats that will be affected. There will also be a new ranked mode with ranked matches, which is something that Mount and Blade has never done before. There's always been in Warband a very competitive Warband league with Napoleonic Wars leagues and things like that, with the best of the best players that went up against each other in tournaments, but now it is being built in and implemented into the game itself, which I think can only be a positive thing for the community to grow. I thank Taleworlds so much for bringing in these features that can only help grow the community. Voice chat, spectator mode, battle mode, more maps, more features. These are all important things to help grow this big multiplayer community that I think a lot of people haven't really experienced to its full potential yet, and I thank Taleworlds so much for doing that. But what do you guys think? Are you excited? Do you think voice chat is a good idea? I think whilst it's exciting and I can't wait to see how it plays out, I think it could be one of the most interesting additions to Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord and its multiplayer. Obviously, there'll probably be actions where you can disable it and mute it, but I think it will be quite fun to see how that plays out. But what are your thoughts? Please leave it in the comments and I'll be sure to check it out as soon as I can. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, leave a dislike if you didn't, but until then, I will see you in the next one.